I don't think peak performance is going to be enough to keep you alive. However, we do have to just wait and see as we get into these character picks here. Demon Dais, a very damage-heavy map. We see the Vice, Estelle, and Asher, one team picked here. Okay, that is a lot of damage. But Zentaro, X, and Mako, once again, we see this double brawler setup with an Enchanter-esque support on the goalie. Previously, we had Era, now we have the Mako, but we're just getting straight into this. No time to talk here.
Yeah.
As we are just in this game. We see them on last call storming the keep with those player icons. We'll have to see if they can storm their way into this game. But with these team comps and this damage on the table, are you excited about this one as I am?
I certainly am. As we can see, I think this comp makes a lot more sense with the Mako. Again, you know, we talk about the Sad Boys comps. They don't always make the most sense, but they do usually find success. Definitely can see the Mako coming on through here, though, a little bit more effective as a traditional goalie. Meanwhile, over on the other side, I mean, it's going to be Gumi piloting the Vice this time around, so kind of a different read on the same kind of Estelle Vice setup that we saw out of Sad Boys earlier today. Both teams, as well as many high-level teams, really started to adopt this Vice as being a real powerful pick in the current meta. We're going to get to see another performance out of it here. Something else to highlight, I mean, Borg's on Zentaro. We thought we might never get to see it again with the role swap, and yet here we are.
The originator of the Borg flick has come to make sure everybody remembers why they created that. But that said, you know, Estelle, not a character typically seen on this map, especially in the midfield role, because of sort of the lack of health and just how much damage there is and how closed off the space is. But here, we see it once more, but this time not as the goalie. Like you mentioned, we do have Gumi on that eject button goalie, but the net's open, and Snake's bullying their way in, slithering through the grass, and they find themselves on the bottom side of that net. But I mean, we saw Borg, a lot of damage on them, but it's actually a lot of peak performance pickups here. We mentioned the prize fighter, but it's only Gumi who has it. Perhaps they're opting for that scaling on characters like the X and the Asher, very high base stagger characters, really able to make the most out of that. However, we'll just have to see if whether or not that lack of raw power is going to come out here as the barrier goes down.
Wow, great run out of Snake there to be able to just keep up that pressure and end up finding the double barriers. Gumi falling low on the other side, though. Threezy Breezy just gets to have their run with it, nearly taking the second barrier as well, trying to set up for it here. Gumi going to be able to find the flip. Takes the bounce shot, Frightfully Fresh there to intercept, but Kainu keeping up the aggression. Has to get back up towards the top. Gumi resetting up now to be able to take that second shot. Gets passed through to Threezy Breezy. Nice put up to the top, and will be able to find that second barrier, but can they hold on for long enough? There's a KO off the bottom side, and now Borg and Frightfully Fresh just have to set up with this power play. Good job by Threezy to be able to find the hit stun and be able to take it through to the goal. Gumi comes out a little too far, gets KO'd, and it's a score for Last Call off the back.
Good patience there by Threezy Breezy. That redirect off of the core flip was excellent to get it around Kainu. And then there at the very end, they didn't just try to, oh, well, the primary hit, I gotta go. They recognized, okay, well, we can take a dribble and just go from there and get it into a better side of the net. But oh my goodness, the net is wide open already. And the players, their skulls have been cracked open. There's only one player left on the side of Last Call. It's Threezy Breezy, as this team, Demons RAAAAHH, has come back to be the Demons of Last Call and put themselves on the board this game, 2-1 lead.
Yeah, really great stuff out of Last Call there to be able to find themselves, or sorry, out of Demons RAAAAHH, rather, to be able to find themselves the lead. Last Call looking to come back into things, but losing members very fast, making things incredibly difficult. Kainoob now with the flip available, just looking to set up for another push. Borg and Threezy just dribbling it back and up and forth vertically on this very small map, but getting constantly interrupted by Snake and Gumi, who are just such difficult forces to get past. Kainoob in his classic role as kind of pseudo-goalie here, while Gumi likes to get unlocked and move out into the fray a little bit more, playing a little bit more towards the midfield. We'll be able to set up for that next follow-up pass to Snake after both barriers do end up falling. And 3Z just trying to charge forward, constantly getting stunned up, constantly getting thrown backwards, pops the Maximus for that little bit of extra stagger, but even that's going to be gone before too long as well, and all they got for it was one barrier. There's that Supernova getting channeled. Nice bounce shot, going to be able to find the second barrier. Gumi falling back on the defense. Kainoob able to send it back down towards Snake. KO found for Demon's Ra on towards the top as Snake is waiting on the bottom side. Just needs the pass to come in towards him. Gumi gets it up to Kainoob. Kainoob taking it up for the top shot. Gumi pushes for more. Not going to be able to get it off the Thunderstruck as Snake is dueling with Breezy Breezy on towards the bottom side. Going to throw down that Path Splitter, knock him out of the way, but Borg getting the pass back up towards Greasy. Snake sends it in towards Frightfully Fresh, who passes it up towards the top. Gumi going to be able to pass it back towards the bottom as he looks for that next power chord. Won't be able to get it due to the flip, and 3Z with a shot sneaks it past Gumi, who is guarding the top corner, into the bottom for 3Z as we get to point number 5.
I took 1 billion damage and all I got was this cool barrier. But a great strike by 3Z Breezy there. With the evade, locking Gumi out of being able to strike the core, it does slip right past, as we do have to see how they keep up this pressure. Snake's taking a lot of damage, but that is one of those things with this double brawler comp, is there's going to be damage that comes out. But I think one thing we're going to have to see here, as these games progress and as these drafts progress, we need to get a Dash Awakening onto Borg here. Because when this core is going as fast as it is, oh my goodness, almost a KO in the process. But the core is going this fast and around so difficultly that it's hard to keep up and get it into the hands of one of the two brawlers so that they can play around each other, when it just feels like neither of them really has the reach to get to it. But with that last goal, it is going to be Kainoob who gets priority on this draft, and we see a lot of powerful awakenings here. We see that heavy impact potentially going to the Vice. Might of Colossus on the table for X, specialized training, extra special. There's a lot of damage coming out here, and not a lot of health to survive.
Yeah, that Might of Colossus going to be valuable to somebody here, and that somebody is going to be X. So that pick ends up coming on through for 3Z. Now, the last pick for Borg will be that Chrono Boost, getting a little bit of dash power on towards the Zentaro. Everybody always loves to say how important this is to be able to get good value out of it, so let's see if these powerful awakenings on towards the double brawler composition are going to be enough to get them back into this match. They did take it the full 5 in set number 1, so not too shabby of a showing, but still Demon's Ra looking cleaner, looking stronger, as they do take their points pretty easily, pretty quickly. Do get that first aggression on towards this barrier, as well as the second. The Ensnare Drum's not going to be enough to save it from Frightfully Fresh. Is now just pushing in for more. Kainoob throwing on through, nearly going to be able to find it with the piercing shot, but will not find it this time, as these perfect pitches from Frightfully Fresh coming in towards midfield, trying to help out the rest of the team as they aggress towards the barriers, but they can't even find one. Supernova clears it out yet again. Kainoob controlling the core very well. Gumi falling back on defense, and they just can't get anything going here. That shot nearly finds its way in. Frightfully Fresh with a critical last-minute save. Another bounce shot not finding its way towards the barriers. 3Z can't get into position to recover it, and now an open goal going into overtime. No barriers taken for last call, but this power play might be what they were looking for. Gumi, though, just running circles around 3Z Breezy, making it impossible to touch them.
It's certainly difficult. There were a couple tough angles there that they wanted to get the barrier or something going, but they just couldn't because of this defense. Kainoob and Gumi playing excellently to get the core back into the hands of Snake, who had that flip ready for the take. But I do like the draft here by last call, but it doesn't seem like it's doing them any favors quite yet, as they are going down 1-0 in this set, but it's just one round. We'll have to see what they make of it. But that said, they do take the barrier here, first barrier taken by them, so we'll have to see whether or not they can keep it up. 3Z Breezy getting some orbs, getting some health, but they're going to need it at this rate with how there's 3 people in that part of the pocket, and 3Z Breezy has no health, and this is 2 characters with high range that can really bully this player, where sometimes it's difficult to fight back when you just can't get in range to fight them. I mean, he's just being tossed around here, no health to survive. We'll have to see if with that Supernova coming out, that's one less tool to kill, whether or not 3Z can stay alive here and make a play happen with the team, or whether or not Frightfully Fresh is going to have to burn this flip and get the core back into their hands.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough for them here as they fall back on towards the defense, trying to just keep holding on towards the point. But it's once 3Z Breezy loses that initial health, they kind of have to give up on the offense for a little while, and with Borg now down, just coming in on the respawn, they do manage to hold on to the point for the time being, but Options are becoming limited. Flip out of Gumi, pass down to Kai Noob, Snake in position. Supernova being channeled and takes it right into the goal. Gumi gets the Demon angle on Demon Dais, and Demon's RAAAAHH will take it to 2-0.
Big lead in the second set. You really can't afford to lose this one, especially when you have scaling characters like X and Zentaro who could really use a couple more awakenings here just to keep up the tempo. But that said, they're not being given any opportunity here. Kainu making the most out of this range. Like I said earlier, Estelle, not a character I expected to see, but Kainu is making excellent use of it on this map, really just closing off the few angles that they have left. This Brawler team, they take up a lot of space and are able to put out a lot of pressure, but Kainu is just finding the angles around them. But one barrier has been taken for both sides, but now Borg looking like their life might be taken if this keeps up.
Yeah, Borg kind of been invisible for a lot of this game. He's had a lot of difficulty getting anything started on the Zentaro, and now he's going to have a lot of difficulty staying alive. A double KO off one path splitter from Snake, batting out those KO stats as this 3 versus 1 is surely the end of the set. It's a 3-0 for Demon's RAAAAHH as they take this to game point.
Ooh, 2-0 lead in this set. Not how you want to start off this series, but these players can certainly make their comeback. As we look at this draft here, Catalyst is on the table. That is a big awakening for this map. However, one thing I maybe would like to see get into the hands of Frightfully Fresh is this team player, because that's going to be a way to shortcut it to their teammates, which is something it seems like they kind of need right now since they don't have that reach and ability to really get the core where it needs to go. But against something like an Estelle, even that Unstoppable is pretty nice, and we do see it picked up. But Rapid Fire is going to be a lot of damage. Primetime is going to be a lot more control on that core. The Orb Dancer is going to give actually Borg a lot of ability to get around this map, but the orbs on this map are in a bit of a tight situation where they're behind the lock, so for you to go back and get that speed, you really have to put yourself out of position and out of the play, just to then use that speed to put yourself back where you would have been anyway. So it's a little difficult. You really have to fight over that bottom orb, and that they do. But Breezy here, the X Maximus has the Rampage, but the barrier's gone, and only one stack on that Rampage picked up, but that's one stack towards scaling for the late game of this set. We'll just have to see if it works out for them.
Yeah, and they're going to need the scaling, right? They're going to need these kinds of options that put them into the game later on, as they have no choice but to try to take the game late, right? So going to be really hoping for a big turnaround in how the game has played out so far as we get towards the back end of game number 1. And certainly going to be last call, hoping that that back end is a long one. So they go for the flip here. Borg pushing for more. Not going to go in for the flip, but ready to juke them out with it if need be. Frightfully Fresh coming on up here, playing at midfield, trying to give them an opportunity to actually push through for the final score. They've opened up the goal for the first time in a while, but they still can't get it past the three-pronged defense the Demon's RAAAAHH put together. As Gumi has snuck on through, taking both barriers. He's going to end up KO'd for it, but no, it's going to be Frightfully Fresh with the flip. A counter flip from Kai Noob sends it into the goal, and it's 1-0 Demon's RAAAAHH.
Oh, they are down, but they're not out. I can see it in their eyes. I saw on that flip Frightfully Fresh tried to get the entrapment on those snare drums. So it's clear that they do have a plan to work around each other. They have not given up on this game yet, even in this tight situation where they are down so much. But like I said, down but not out. Frightfully Fresh even walking up here, showing that they are willing to take part. But that said, the damage is coming out onto 3Z Breezy. It's difficult to stay alive as X when he doesn't have the energy to stay alive, but they get the barrier here, so the best way to refill your health bar is winning the round, I feel.
Ooh, nice little bounce shot there from 3Z. Does get fended back away from Gumi, as he's falling very, very low on Stagger. Borg going to be in charge of the bottom side right now. 3Z falling back on defense. They're going to go for a full 3-man push here, as there's going to be the stop on towards the core. Kind of gets stalled in midair as the Slice and Dice connects at the same time as the Supernova, but a KO is found, and 3Z Breezy is off the map. Borg going to try to take this into an aggressive angle, see if he can push for the point while down a member, but it's Snake keeping it on towards the right. Gumi coming out of the goal arc as 3Z Breezy respawns. They find their second barrier. They take the shot, and they get it past Frightfully Fresh. He's stunned up by Snake in the meanwhile, and it's going to be a 2-0 lead here for Demon's RAAAAHH, 1 point away from taking game number 1.
You've got to pull out all the stops at this point, as you don't have much going for you left, so you'll just have to see what you can make happen. But that said, that whole point, Borg was kind of looking for an opportunity to use that flip once they got it out to make something happen. But with the barrier already going down, the flip coming out now when they're already low health, you just don't have the defenses to stay alive at this point. But it's Snake who's getting pummeled down. And with Borg picking up the goalie rotation here to allow Frightfully Fresh to move up with that flip, that's going to give them a lot of pressure. As now this power play is really coming to life here, kind of looking like they might be the next one to go down. We'll just have to see if with that orb pickup they can keep themselves alive. But pressure is mounting just a little bit as Gumi is using a lot of utility here, so that's less damage for the team to use on these players. But 3Z Breezy still looking pretty low. The Supernova almost taking them. It's a lot of back and forth here.
Yeah, really risky eye rush from Borg there. Does end up paying off as they reposition the core where they need it. They are able to come in for a second aggression, and they do take the open goal, but that's only half the battle, and it's been the second half that cannot be won by last call for a lot of this set. There's going to be the second barrier falling down. 3Z trying to take control of it, looking for the rush forward, going to be able to bounce it off the bottom, takes the shot, but Kai Noob going to be able to flip it and take it back over towards the other side. Gumi now coming back away as he looks to send it back in towards the middle. Kai Noob falling back on the defense, Rightfully Fresh, dribbling it now, waiting out this Supernova. It will end up falling down, but so does 3Z Breezy. It's now Borg and Frightfully Fresh against 3 members, and the piercing shot from Kai Noob will interrupt the dribble from Frightfully Fresh and end this game right here, right now. It's a 1-0 lead for Demons RAAAAHH.
An unfortunate way to end that game, where that dribble looking like a potential way to find just a little bit of time to get their teammate back, but they make the most of it with that piercing shot. Recognize your strike is on cooldown. It doesn't matter if you have Unstoppable. I don't need to hit you and the core. I just need to hit the core here, and that they do. So, with them taking this game, that's going to put them up 1-0 in this series. We see a lot of KOs come out this game. Only 4 on the side of last call, and they're all 3Z Breezy. A lot of punching it in, but that said, this double brawler comp has not worked out this time like it did in the previous series that we have watched, so we'll have to see what adaptation comes out of that. That said, though, Gumi, 40k damage. Is damage weak? That is the question we always ask, but perhaps now we have a more solidified answer as they do take that game. But Demon Dais, a bit of a polarizing map, a lot of damage really gets rewarded there. So we'll just have to see if with our next map, that's something that perhaps we move out of and say, okay, well, we're going to something else, which it looks like I want to say is going to be, well, it's kind of hard to tell from the resolution. But regardless, we'll see what the next map is. To me. I would have to agree with you there. Yeah, it does indeed look like Night Market, so we'll just have to see how that changes things. Whether or not we'll potentially see this double brawler comp come back, as we did see it previously on Night Market by a different team. We'll have to see if they stick with that, stick to their guns and say, okay, first game was warm-up, now we're here. Or whether or not they're going to change to a more traditional comp here. As we see on that highlight, that piercing shot once more, excellent play. But one thing I'm curious about is, at first I wasn't sure how Demons RAAAAHH would do now that they have all of their players back together. They did have a couple weeks break where they didn't have their main roster in the spotlight. But now with them having all 3 here, I mean, that was just a dominating performance. I have no further questions. Gordo, what questions do you have as we go into this next game, as these players are setting up perhaps some technical difficulties? We'll just have to wait and see how long it'll be before we get this next one rolling.
Yeah, my questions aren't going to be about Demons RAAAAHH. I think these guys, perhaps the only squad that's played together as long as Sad Boys have in NASL right now. So these guys definitely didn't have any concerns about them coming back after a 2-week break. I think the default expectation should be that these guys are going to be some of the best teams in NASL. And if you look at just their finish from Season 3, you might think, oh, Demons RAAAAHH's fallen off a little bit. That really was not the case for the vast majority of the season, right? They were still really up towards the top of the standings. They were really looking like they were going to be able to make a really deep run there, but getting upset early on as they did, and then having to play Sad Boys in the lower bracket, just a unfortunate situation for them as we get into draft number 2 down here. But I have full confidence in their abilities to work their way up towards the top of the standings again, and for continuing to be one of the most dangerous teams we have in NASL. My questions are about last call and what comp they're going to go for here. I was so happy to see Borg back on the Zentaro, but it was really nearly invisible in that game number 1. I want to see what else they can show us, what else they have prepped to try to get a little bit more competitive of a game here. So it looks like we got Siege Machine and Specialized Training to start things off.
The Borg on that Zentaro, I was also excited for it, but it just didn't work out. But that said, that's only one game. It doesn't tell the full story, as We've got the story of Night Market. You mentioned Siege Machine and specialized training. The Vice Band makes a whole lot of sense with that spec training start. And the Siege Machine, perhaps they're trying to get rid of this Dubu because of that projectile range being excellent on that character. We see the X picked up here. That's going to be a character that can really make the most of that spec training. A lot of dash punch potential kills and even just raw damage. But double Enchanter picked up here, Mako and Era. So that's a lot less damage on the table for them and more of a funneling composition as they have recognized with the X pickup. Those are two very scary characters to have alongside the X on this map. So I think smart pickups by them to deny both potential choices to sort of shove that X into the spotlight. But I mean now, as the backup picks here, I mean pretty good on this map. That's Fireball Sentry is going to be able to close off the lane pretty well. But the now pick, there's no Monumentalist start, so that is going to be something that we have to look out for in those future drafts. That's going to be something that you've got to be scared of. But also, because that spec training is going to be gone for them, as I assume they will be taking the Siege Machine here, you're not going to have that emergency heal quite how you would like to if you had that later on as like maybe like a sixth pick pickup. So you'll have to see if the healing is going to be enough to survive against this Juliet, who potentially with a lot of dash punches, a lot of Mako primaries, and the extra power from Mako and from Era is going to be able to go on a tear here. We'll just have to see if they are able to. But as we await this game, I'm definitely interested in these two compositions because we have that double enchanter that normally would be with the X's now with the Juliet. I figured maybe we would see something like the Asher or maybe even the Zentaro once more. But that said, I'm interested in this. I mean, now we'll have to see how it works out.
Yeah, I am as well. And I do like the pivot here from Last Call to go for the kind of double enchanter, as you were calling it, plus the Juliet here. I think 3Z Breezy was playing very, very well last game. I think just trying to index everything they have into him feels like he has the hot hand right now, and they're going to try to make sure that he's going to be as empowered as possible to be able to find some success in this game number 2. Meanwhile, yeah, a new composition coming out of Demon's Ra. They're going for the more classic setup, right? It's a ranged goalie with the IME, and then your support plus brawler setup with this X and this Now. The Now certainly going to be a dangerous pick, especially with all of those creation trainings still up and available, like you were saying there, Dendar. So we'll have to see how the drafts end up falling. But I think it should be a priority for Last Call to try to win some of these early sets to make sure they have the opportunity to deny some of those trainings if possible.
Absolutely. Even if you can't set yourself up with a lead for the scaling, even just trading sets one for one could be in your benefit to really get that scaling going. But right now we're just waiting on the players, as it seems one of them has left the server for just a moment. It looks like two of them have. We'll just have to see what's going on there as we await that. However, I think there's going to be some big ticket awakenings here that we have to be careful of. There's going to be that 1-2 punch for the Juliet. Very scary. For X, I mean, there's just a lot of things that could be potentially big on that character. That character has some of the most insane scaling in the game. We already mentioned the Monumentalist on the Now. Even something like Timeless Creator could be good on the Now or the IME. That's two characters you now have to deny that awakening from, or they're going to cause a lot of pressure on the field and a lot of potential positioning errors that you have to play around because that mine is just so big. But with the Mako pickup here, just kind of a lot of good generic awakenings that are good on them. There's not anything that I would say if they get this, you will lose the game like that Monumentalist Now. But because they can use so many things so effectively, it feels like it's going to be hard to deny them a good draft pick. So we'll just have to see what they can get going. But as these players are funneling back into this lobby, Night Market, did we happen to see what the third potential map was? Should we get to that? Or did you not happen to catch that? I saw you catch the Night Market. I did not quite catch the last one. Do you happen to see what it was? Or do you think we may not even go to a map 3 here? As after that previous performance, it's hard to say whether or not Last Call is going to be able to survive the onslaught, as now they have this X-IME Now comp coming down to take some names.
I'm certainly a little bit worried here. Hang on, I have the VOD up in the background. I can squint real hard and try to see what the decider is going to be. It looks like it's going to be Atlas's Lab as the final map. So that would be where we're going if we do end up on a game number 3. If I squint real hard, I think that I can see it, as we are getting into the actual draft. So it looks like we are going to be kicking off game number 2 here. We can stop vamping and can get on into the action. 2 relatively standard drafts here. I had the kind of 2 enchanter setup, like you said, going to be the pivot from Last Call. Let's see how they're going to be able to turn around their fortunes.
Yep. The mind boggler here would be if it was the Era goalie and then double brawler once more and we were all bamboozled, but no, it is a traditional composition here, as we do see Frightfully Fresh on that Mako. However, the speed gate is definitely going to be something that we have to take note of here, as Breezy Breezy got the first one and has now picked up the second one, so that's just showing good control of that. However, the defense here not fumbling in the face of that speed, recognizing what they need to do to keep the play alive. But Gumi on this eject button, I feel like I probably should have made a mention of that, as that is going to be something that you really have to look out for, because Gumi already an exceptional player, and now they have that extra range to really get where they need to go. And apparently where they need to go is Borg's face, as they are taking a ton of damage here. Kainu rotating back for the defense, as Gumi, that eject button had run out, and they had to take the walk of shame, but it's a kill. Both sides, both the midfielders have gone down. I lied, it's one midfielder and one goalie, as it is Gumi who went down, but defense is not on the table here.
And I mean, that's a mistake that you can't blame anybody for making there. The way that Gumi plays, especially when he gets that eject button, he is like another midfielder, right? And I think this is kind of a direction that, especially with these vice goalies, we're starting to see get played a little bit more. I just think more and more teams are going to go as the game continues to evolve. Just getting 3 members in on those full court presses just becomes more and more important. I think Gumi is just ahead of the curve in that sense. He has the most redirects of any goalie. He always has the most shots on goal of any goalie. He's just playing a lot more aggressively, a lot more forward than anybody else in the game does. And I think that that's a big part of why Demon's RAAAAHH is so successful, is the way that he does that. Aimi going to be a bread and butter pick for that play style, and expect to see him up in the middle of the field or even further past it for the vast majority of this game.
I definitely like the use of that pressure because, like you mentioned, they have those stats to back up their playstyle, but on a map like this, I like that they're making the most use of these barriers. A lot of people say that Night Market is one of those maps where the barriers kind of play defense for you, and you get a lot of pressure just by pressing up as a goalie. So Gumi making the most of that. They lost a barrier, but they lost it to get something in turn, as now Gumi has this flip, and is just walking up. They don't even need a eject button. They recognize, yes, I have a eject button. It allows me to have pressure where I normally wouldn't, but I can also just walk up just like a normal person.
Yeah, absolutely. Here.
Oh,
wow!
No.
Snake! What a bell ringer there. My temptation is to say that wasn't intentional, but I don't know, man. It's Snake. I think you got to give it to him.
That's such a tough spot, because they might have been trying to use the bell ringer to get Breezy Breezy off of them when they were in that fiery flurry, as they were all but guaranteed dead because they were staggered. How they were even able to get the bell ringer out is beyond me, but they did manage to. And Frightfully Fresh trying to get the core 2-3-zy there off of that kill. Oh my god, another one. Snake getting yet another body added to the count. Oh, and another one goes down. This is just a bit disturbing. There are so many kills going back and forth. It's hard to keep up with this point when the 3v1 power play is online, but Borg might have something to say about this.
Snake's kind of hitting the gritty on him this game, man. He's kind of absolutely styling on fools, as this game is getting a little bit out of control here. Already a 2-0 lead for Demon's RAAAAHH, and here comes Snake escorting it up on the top, going to be able to take that barrier and going to be able to open on up the goal. Gumi over to Kainoob, over to Snake. Borg able to interrupt that passing performance, but now getting right back into the triangle, right? Passing it right through this center piece. They are so good at this on this map, and they are going to be able to find another KO for Snake. Like you said, though, it leaves them vulnerable on the other side, and Breezy Breezy with the breakaway will take a point here for last call.
I mean, these teams just had me sitting up in my seat. This is such a game that it's hard to stay relaxed when players are playing like this. Players are dying left and right. There's so many plays happening. Kainoob is on a lifeline with just a flip available to protect themselves, but a barrier goes down both sides. Gumi has decided to start walking up to give Kainoob a little bit of breathing room, but at the same time, when both flips have now been burned, that's a lot less defense that you have. Snake has to make something happen here, but they have so low energy that the Era Beam is going to make it a lot more difficult to make anything happen here, even with that X Maximus coming out. But Breezy Breezy has this flip available, and each team has one barrier, but I don't think the defenses are giving up quite yet here.
There's that bounce. Look at that shot once again. Again, are we planning these? We've got to be, but these are just so many steps ahead, and they are just way ahead of where Last Call is on the field, continuing to find the plays. But it's Borg and 3Z Breezy with a flip available on 3Z. He manages to hang on to it and will not end up falling down here, but still that blinking health bar, and Kainoob looking for the opportunity cut. There's going to be Gumi passing it back on up. Another shot coming on through. There's Snake. All right, that one was an accident. You can't tell me he planned that. The bell ringer sends it backwards, and 3Z Breezy comes up with the score credit. It's 2-2 going to point number 5.
We can certainly hope there's been no underhanded dealings there with that overhand smack by X with the bell ringer into their own net. A little difficult to deal with as the goalie. You just strike it, and then suddenly your teammate clears it back into your net. It's not something you can really deal with anything about. But that said, 3Z Breezy, I liked their ability to stay calm. They recognized they were low health previously with that flip, but still went for that dash punch kill, which could have given them such an opportunity, but it was actually Snake who gave them the opportunity they needed to get that point, even it up 2-2 here, but the net's open.
All right, we're getting a little wild with it here. There's going to be the flip. Gumi going to be able to send it on through. The ensnare drums will successfully block that for Frightfully Fresh and give an opportunity over here for Borg to move forward towards 3Z Breezy. Kainoob sending it on up. Borg looking for the flip. Have that one available, but 2 barriers to wait for. Frightfully Fresh, what? Snake blocks it, I think? Or Frightfully Fresh just sent it right down. It's hard to tell which one. I wish I had a replay there, but either way, bounces off the bottom, back into the goal.
Oh, I think that was an unfortunate own goal there, perhaps looking for the 90-degree bumper or just something to get that core around Snake, but the only place they send it to is their own goal, I believe, but very difficult situation, but unpunished, no monumentalist here, so we have evaded one calamity, but X getting some stacks, going to be able to stack that up pretty quickly, giving them the speed that they need to give them the pressure. Player like Snake having extra speed is not where you want to be if you're the enemy team, but Peak Performance picked up. Perhaps speed is just on the table here as Aerial's giving them that extra reach on that eject button. That's going to be a little scary, but I like the Orb Ponder here, picked up here by Fresh, as well, they are going to be denying their teammates a little bit of health by getting that. That's going to be a lot of cooldowns, and with Ensnare Drum having such a long cooldown, it's going to be helpful to them. But wait a minute, 3Z Breezy has no cooldown and is just taking barriers left and right.
All right. This is getting a little wild here. 3Z Breezy looking for the opportunity, has both barriers down. Borg going to be able to get that shrink down on towards Snake, trying to keep that X out of the play, and the dash punch out of 3Z Breezy will send it home. And Last Call looking more competitive in this game number 2. Set 1 was a little wacky, all right? I'm not going to try to read too much into it, but very good stuff and very close scoring so far between the two teams, and 3Z Breezy not slowing down.
Not slowing down whatsoever. However, it's Snake that you need to be careful of. They can slow him down with the Era Beam, but it might not be enough as they are just on a rampage here. They even have to pull out the Ensnare Drums, put that man in prison behind bars. We cannot have him on our half of the court. Right there, losing the barrier. Net's open. Gumi has a flip available to defend and has to use it here, as now the defense has to be careful.
Yeah, Frightfully Fresh a little bit outnumbered here. Borg going to be able to fall back and help out. Kainoob shrunk down. 3Z Breezy now with a shot at a good dash punch play. Frightfully Fresh coming out towards midfield. Magical Maelstrom already in position from Borg. Now it's Snake escorting it over towards the right. There's going to be that glitch pop connecting. Borg taking it back through the middle. Coming up for the top side, looking for a shot on through. Bouncing it off the bottom. Borg gets it there, but it is going to be saved by Gumi. Really well-placed glitch pop. Manages to save the point. And Snare Drums comes on through. Snake trapped and taken down. Beaten well inside of the walls. And will be taken off the map. A really good shot here at a score from Last Call. Good defense from Gumi. Popping the clown emotes, showing 3Z that he is not shaken by the power play as Kainoob is able to send it through and find the barrier. Open goals for both teams. Snake finds the KO on towards Borg. It takes the shot from the middle of the field in towards the goal, tying things up at 1-1.
That core speed from the specialized training, even though it was a dribble, the strike X Maximus to get the reset really just lit that core on fire. And Snake lights up that punch and sends it into the bottom side of the net. A great point by them getting around Frightfully Fresh's flip. That's a big resource to take away too, as they've been sitting on that flip for just a little bit, as now that is going to be gone. And they are moving up here, actually allowing Borg to take some of the defensive setup here, as they're really just trying to keep Snake out of the picture here. That primary looking like it was aimed right at them, but the damage does not come out. As now Snake looking to use that speed from the speed gate. Everybody's got it, but nobody does anything with it as we just look to see if they can patrol. But Snake taking that orb, denying the orb ponderer. We'll have to see if this offense can make the most of it as the net is open. Oh my goodness, the Firewall Sentry locks that one up. And it just gets punched in there. That was a big collapse, but a 2-1 lead could certainly be scarier, but these rounds, like you said, are looking a lot more competitive.
Yeah, beautifully placed sentry turret there, though. Out of Gumi really just makes things all too easy for Snake as there's nowhere for the core to go, but exactly where they want it to go. Getting caught in that corner, taking the barrier, taking the score. And now a 2-1 lead, like you said. Snake very low, caught in the ensnare drums. Nearly taken down, but will get a little bit of a lifeline back from Kainoob. They do take one barrier for the side of last call. Snake looking for the breakaway on the other side. Gets perfect pitch back away. Snake taken low, taken staggered. 3Z looking to finish him off, but getting beaten down on his own side. And it will be only that one barrier still. Frightfully Fresh sends it back away with the perfect pitch. The follow-up with that sentry turret will be able to take one nice angle from Kainoob. Gets blocked back away by Frightfully Fresh still as he sends it back up towards the top. Borg trying to hold out, but Kainoob is just forcing it through. 1 versus 2. Takes the barrier. Now popping the ensnare drum. Snake dribbling it off the top, taking a shot in towards the bottom as 3Z once again wants the breakaway, but Gumi finds him, marks him, and takes him down for the score. Demons RAAAAHH escort it into the goal and take a 3-1 set number 2.
Big lead here. And when you're on the losing end of this, and even the goalie of Gumi is dash punching you with dash core flip, you are in a tough spot in these games. But this draft could be what brings them back into it, as still no Monumentalist, so still given an opportunity here. The Quick Strike's, though, going to be a big pickup. That's going to be a lot more energy. That they were already leading a bit in the energy department, and now they're going to make sure that they have extra. The Stinger pickup, though, is going to be some damage that I don't know if that's what they're planning around, or they just don't want the enemy team to have it, as the Might of the Colossus pickup is just going to be a little bit of size, perhaps some more poke damage on the primary. The Orb Dancer here, I think, is a good pickup by 3Z because that's going to give them a lot of speed to get around even when the speed gate is not available. And there's going to be another thing that the enemy team has to contest them on should they want to keep him out of the play. And then finally, that Catch to Last is another great pickup here for Borg. That's going to be a lot of help on the secondaries and primaries. Primaries both to shut down the offense and keep theirs alive, but the barriers are down.
Kainoob just grooving here, continuing to be able to find these barriers, even without too much backup being available while Snake is still getting into position. Really making a lot happen there as they do manage to open up both of those barriers. Has access to the flip as well. 3Z going to be able to take one barrier, trying to get over towards another one, but slowed up as he tries to make the approach. Second barrier will end up falling. If he can set up for a dash punch here, it could be the score for last call to be able to try to fight their way back into this game. Look at that bounce coming off the angle, nearly taking it past Frightfully Fresh, but he does keep up the defense. Borg escorting it around, slowing down Snake. Kainoob trying to sneak it past him, gets hit by the perfect pitch, still pushing for more, following up with the drone, will be sent towards the bottom. Kainoob coming back in for the backup. 3Z Breezy low on health on the opposite side, just hoping that Borg and Frightfully Fresh will be able to hold on and get it back into position. It flies across, but it gets blocked away by Gumi before 3Z Breezy can get into position. Now Frightfully Fresh passing it down towards Borg. Snake waiting up on towards the top side. The flip comes through for Frightfully Fresh, and there's the pass that we were waiting for, right into the flame flurry. 3Z Breezy sends it home.
Down the center and down the throats of the enemy. A good pass there by Frightfully Fresh with that flip. That's going to be a resource burn, but a goal gained. That's going to put them back in the lead for this set. But another one has to get burned by this Firewall Sentry. Gumi's really been on point with those, putting them in just the scariest situations for the enemy team to deal with. But that said, Kainoob really making use of all of this speed that they have to keep the pressure alive. Everybody's just really using their tools to the most that they possibly can. And we even see Snake going for these dash punch cheeky angles now that they have that extra dash range. Chrono Boost, not the greatest of awakenings on X, but certainly not a bad one either, and they are really showing how useful it can be. But with this flip available in this pocket, getting burned, the defense on both sides is starting to pick up, but it's 3Z Breezy who's looking for a kill there, but their target disappears.
Does indeed disappear, and there's the pressure coming on towards the barrier once again, opening things up. Snake takes the shot towards the bottom. Gumi finds the KO. Everybody stops to drop an emote, and they're pushing for more with the power play. Gumi falling back in towards midfield, wants to make sure that none of these cores get out of their control too fast, and there's the full three-man press for Demons RAAAAHH to send it through.
I was worried with those emotes we may see hubris manifest, but instead we see a point for the Demons RAAAAHH team, evening things up. But with a set lead, hard to call things even in this situation, but it seems like both teams have really picked up the pace here as these rounds are going back and forth, but that Magical Maelstrom is going to be going to the enemy net and not colliding with the core, but Gumi might have to collide this core flip with the enemy barriers. That they do. Snake doesn't get the second one, a little bit awkward of an angle there on the redirect, not able to get the most of it, but they do take the second one now with the help of this Firewall Sentry. This offense has started off strong, but Last Call has made comebacks in situations like these.
Yeah, they have, but now they're down a member, and now Snake and Kainoob setting up 2 versus 1 against Rightfully Fresh. That's just too hard to defend. It will end up with another point to Demons RAAAAHH, and they now have one more goal until they're going to be able to walk away with a win here today.
One more chance, but it's Gumi who walks away from the barrier, giving up that one. We'll have to see if they're really living up to this. The barriers do the defense for you. I don't know what's going on here. Gumi is on the hunt for something, but Rightfully Fresh loses the barrier here. Oh, but they also lose a player.
Whoa!
The core does not have the redirect they need. Gumi is really just on the hunt here. They are really making the most of this offense.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're either scoring right here or we're doing nothing, and it looks like nothing might be the answer, but they're able to fall back in time and save the point, just slowly drifting towards the goal. Now it's open goals for both sides. Borg looking for the breakaway on the bottom side. 3Z Breezy already staggered, sent back away, trying to hold on. There's going to be the shot, and it comes on through. Gumi can't get back to it in time. He's trying to get a little too cute with it, and we will be going to point 5 in set number 3.
I mean, at first, I thought maybe Gumi was just lagging with this positioning. Maybe they're just blocking too far, but there they don't even strike the core. It looked like they were in range. Perhaps it's just something that I do not know. But that said, we're on a new point now. Gumi has a flip available, and Kainoob is on the way. Borg has no health to keep themselves alive. Oh, but this point is an absolute collapse. But they managed to keep the barrier here, even in the face of that.
Yeah, KO found onto Snake, actually giving some breathing room to Last Call from these full force aggressions, and they will be able to buy a little bit more space. Last Call with a shot to really hang on to the game here, but the flip comes on through, will open on up the goal as Snake is approaching menacingly from the top side. 3Z Breezy gonna be able to get the stun onto both with that dash punch, but it's only gonna be a little bit of damage for now. Borg falling very low, getting bullied by Snake, getting taken down, and the push in from Kainoob, and Snake will take victory for Demons RAAAAHH 2-0 over Last Call as they move themselves up to 3-1.
Well, we do see why the Bestie Bucks were so skewed in their favor with performances like that. Demons RAAAAHH has really showed up to this series and taken home a win because of it. That said, Last Call, I don't think by any means performed poorly, especially in that last game. Towards the end, they were really picking things up. Every single interaction was looking like they had so much intent behind it, but it just was not enough in the face of this Demons RAAAAHH roster. But that said, Demons RAAAAHH, the gang's back together, so there's going to be a lot more of this that you're going to have to deal with if you are in this NASL season. So you've got to be really careful against this team, especially if they continue to play like this in all of their games. I don't know what happened in those last couple of rounds with Gumi, but they managed to pull it out anyway, so I suppose a win's a win.
A win is a win. Nothing left to criticize at that point. But yeah, really great stuff coming out of Demons RAAAAHH. Not missing a beat as they get back with their full roster for the first time so far this season. Last Call dropping down now to 1-3, and like many teams now, starting to feel a little bit anxious about their playoff opportunities here. Taking a quick look at what their back end of the schedule goes, they still do get to play. Looks like Cosmic Calamities are coming up next, then Showtime will then be Bang Bang, Bozo Bunch, and Bun Bun Bonanza. So not the easiest schedule in the world here for Last Call.